Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right. Good evening and welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, CEO and founder of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and award-winning author. And welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have Butterfly Love Hugz. Butterfly Love Hugz, pronouns I am, is the founder and chief transformation officer of Flutter, your potential creative transformation academy. A true butterfly by nature, Butterfly absolutely loves to ignite the hearts of young people of color by teaching them how to emerge from the cultural, societal, and emotional traumas that are keeping them from living their dreams. As a result, they transform their crawl into a soar by releasing the past, dreaming the impossible, and exploring the possibilities. They harness the power of belief to courageously step into their divine purpose, create the life of their desire, and positively impact in their community and the world. So without further ado, please help me welcome to my platform, Miss Butterfly Love Hugz. Hey, Butterfly.
Hello, Kimberly. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for sharing. Much gratitude. To the journey and to you for this opportunity.
Welcome. Oh, you are so welcome. We've talked before we started this tonight, and I am just still overjoyed with this name, Butterfly. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, what is your real name? You're like, that is my name. Like, it is so gorgeous. I love it. And I cannot wait to hear the journey behind this name and why you chose your name. But before we actually go down that path, why don't you tell my listeners a little bit more about who Butterfly Love Hugz is all about?
I am a mom of two amazing, beautiful daughters who will be 39 and 37 in a couple of months. I am the Yanya, which is Yanya is Swahili for grandmother of 7 amazing grandchildren, ages from 20 down to 17 months. I am the founder of Flutter, your potential creative transformation academy. I am a chef. I'm an artist, and I'm all things transformation. Hence the name, Butterfly. I have truly embraced, my whole self, as well as, being a Gemini, truly embracing my masculine and my feminine energies. And I'm just excited about life and helping people. Now it's the time to help transform my community, one heart at a time.
Well, all right. Well, you have definitely come out of that cocoon. Okay. You, my dear, have definitely been flying. You are the butterfly that has been out there. I mean, an artist, a chef. I mean, come on now. You have definitely been soaring, and I love your energy and I love your attitude. So all of this that you have within inside of you, you have obviously been sharing with your community and with young people of color. And that stands out to me the most, because our children are in definite need to constantly have somebody who can show them how to soar. So talk to me first a little bit about why you got into what you're doing, but talk about the journey to how you got to where you're at today.
Oh, Kimberly, I am from the south side of Chicago, born and raised on the south side of the Chi, baby of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so I grew up at a different time. I was born in 65, and, as you know, Dr. King was assassinated in 69. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in our empowerment era as a community. And we owned Black businesses in our neighborhoods. We thrived in our neighborhoods. We used to hold block parties all the time, and with all the neighbors, and all the kids would always be outside playing all the time. And that really shaped and molded my opportunity to really enjoy life and have fun as a kid. Mm-hmm. So I was always at the Museum of Science and Industry, going to the library, participating in many, many events because my mom was a servant leader in our community, and she had us involved in so many different activities. And that really shaped, again, and molded who I am, in knowing that getting out, having fun in those experiences has created the woman that you see today. I've always brought joy and light and sunshine into spaces. And the older I got and worked through my own, shame for being a teenage mom and, mm-hmm. Recovering from a drug overdose in my late 20s after my mom passed away, picking up my family and moving from Chicago to Arizona, having no family there, no friends, homeless for a very short time, mm-hmm. but then got back on my feet, went on to graduate from college, got my MBA degree, became a homeowner, and really just started to embrace my transformation. And the more I studied, the more I took in and released my own childhood trauma, I began to blossom and just to come into this oneness and connection with the universe, and really understanding that I am pure love, mm-hmm. and wanting to share that love with other people and just inspire young people to do the same.
Wow. Well, we definitely are two kindred spirits. I mean, I'm a 66 baby, so we came in around the same time.
Right? So you know what I mean? I mean, everything.
Yeah.
The music, again, being from Chicago, my parents were jazz DJs. Mm-hmm. So I grew up, listening just to all types of music, from jazz to, Ella Fitzgerald. But, mm-hmm. My brother, they went to Calumet High School, and long before Shaka Khan, who is who she is now, mm-hmm. She was making music in our community.
That's right.
Grew up seeing the Jackson 5 in concert all the time, and
mm-hmm.
Stevie Wonder and Shaka Khan. But the music and the culture at that time was so positive and inspiring. And I've seen it change
yes. Yeah.
Lately, and the impact that it's having on our community.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
I want to do my best to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No, and I said, our young people are dying, Kimberly, mm-hmm. and I don't think our community really knows that. There was a recent study done by the National Cares Mentoring Movement. They partnered with the Association of Black Psychologists in October 2019 mm-hmm. and put together the Black Child Suicide Report. And the numbers are staggering. That for adolescent young Black males, suicide is up 60%. Mm-hmm. But it's up 182% for adolescent Black girls.
Wow.
And so, and then I also taught high school for 8 years. I'm a chef, and so I ran a very successful culinary arts program at Tempe High School in Tempe, Arizona for 8 years. So in addition to teaching that class, I sponsored our Black Student Union as well as our Gay Straight Alliance Club. Mm-hmm. And so creating that safe space for those two communities in a time where we are continually being told that we should hate people for being who they are. Right. I was able to bring those young people together. Mm-hmm. But what I also saw was the rise in bullying because of social media. Mm-hmm. The amount of fights that were started because somebody said something about me on Facebook or Snapchat, and the aggression, that and the tension that the students start to have with one another right. as a result. Right. And so that created a platform for me to be able to share a lot of the concepts that I was learning, from Lisa Nichols, mm-hmm. Dr. Beckwith, Iyanla Van Zandt, within the environment, having young people and being able to pour into them at that age. Now, right. How much different our lives would be if we had that wisdom at that age. Right. But as an educator, you can only do so much. So mm-hmm. Now I'm on the journey of fully stepping into entrepreneurship and taking this program around the world. It's definitely needed.
Okay. And I'm listening to what you're saying, and when we look back into the era that we grew up in, like I said, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and then the early 2000s. When you think about our journey growing up, you're right. Things were much different then. We were very proud about who we were as Black people and what we accomplished, what we wanted to do. We didn't mind being entrepreneurs. We didn't mind being professional and, trying to constantly encourage each other to grow. And obviously, we still had the issues that we had, but times were different. Where today we have definitely lost that it's almost like you've lost some of that light in our young people, and then just truly understanding the history of where we come from and who we are, and then taking what we have today and realizing that you can continue to soar and accomplish a lot more, even what we've already started and done. It's not all completely lost, but there is definitely some difference. And, we do hear a lot about Chicago, and then you're on the south side of Chicago, and the stories that we have to hear every day. You never hear about the good part of Chicago. You're only going to hear, on the TV and the news, we hear about all the negativity, all the killings and the shootings. And, as human beings and as an adult, I sit back and think about every day, what is it that they're not doing? Why is the community not able to stop what is going on in the community? What in the world are people actually doing in Chicago to sit there and say, hey, we want to come together, we want to work together, but things never seem to get done. And there's the constant growth of killing. And then, like you're talking about, there's this constant spark of people dying, of suicide. And it is young people there, and it's increasing not just in Chicago; it's all over in our communities.
Over, correct.
And the key is why? What are we doing differently today in your thought process than what we did back in the day when we were coming up? Do you believe is a part of the reason why all these things that we used to have are no longer existing?
Oh, that is an excellent question, Kimberly. For us, me being a Black woman, I would say I know one of the largest influences, first of all, of my life was my family. First and foremost was my mom, my aunties, those elders within our family who allowed us to be children, but also let us know when we were being disrespectful in their eyes. And helping to guide us toward at least making decisions outside of knowing that those decisions don't just impact you, how they impact others. And the other part was, for me, music and culture. Again, the lyrics that I heard growing up, over and over and over on the radio, songs like Young, Gifted, and Black was played all of the time. Things like, understanding that I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody. Listening to Dr. King's speeches over and over and over and over again, and knowing that I was beyond what the media and the systems were telling me, that I was. And those types of influence, even conversations at school, not that, I went to high school. I get it. I was the first Julian on the south side of and at different times. Even, I was in the marching band in high school, and having that structure, and having teachers and just that larger community. Even if I was outside doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing, the aunties and family members and cousins in the neighborhood were able to correct me without, me feeling that, I was shameful, or, that I was doing something so terrible that I needed to just be totally punished for that. But again, the other part was having access to information. I read a lot, so one of my favorite places on earth is going to the library. So having access, again, when we walked in the library, we saw those images on the wall. So there was W.E.B. Du Bois, there was Percy Julian, we learned about Rosa Parks. I mean, that was just a part of our culture, and knowing that together as a community that we could get through anything.
Mm-hmm.
And those messages are coming back now, but the lack of that over, the past 10, 15 years, in my opinion, has been detrimental to our community. And, we can get back to it, holding on to trauma is the other part too.
Right.
Part of what I love about my Flutter program is a process that I use to really navigate life and really understanding that I'm going to have events in my life that occur. There's a process or a concept that, E plus R equals O. I learned this through Lisa Nichols, that you're going to have events in your life, and those events are going to have outcomes. But it's learning how to respond differently. Exactly. This is what I've learned to do. And so it's been a process. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, so there was still a lot of anger and frustration. There was still some, of course, dysfunction within my family. But taking the opportunity to step outside of that and really begin to grow and learn and heal and let go and not hold on to so much.
Right.
And it's freeing me. It's, again, you think about the transition from a caterpillar into a butterfly. The caterpillar will never become a butterfly if it continues to hold on to the fact that it is a caterpillar.
Right, exactly.
And it has spent its whole life crawling around. It understands that at certain points, you have to release. You got to release the past. You have to release, your old mindset and old ways of reacting and old ways for us to do things as a community. And let's get back to our roots, the grassroots, and loving one another and supporting one another and just knowing that together as a community we can go further. We can't do it without one another. We cannot.
Exactly. But I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second because I want to talk about what you were just talking about in reference to having access to information and how things what we did coming up. Obviously, we didn't have computer systems, we didn't have that type of access. So everything we did, we physically had to be involved. We physically had to be a part of it. Like walking into that library today, most young people or most people in general don't even know what a library is because they don't have to walk into that library in order to find what they need. But also in today's information age is what I call it, because there is a ton of information that you have access instantly to your fingertips. But the thing I'm wondering and learning and seeing more of is the fact that even though we have that information at our fingertips, it's what it is that these young people are looking at is what they're exposed to versus what we were exposed to is a whole lot different. You hear a lot of them don't care about what the past was because they can only live for today. So in today's environment, what are you teaching the young people to do? Because the information that we have today is much more flowing. It's instantaneous. They can learn about everything, anything that we didn't even know about when we were coming up in our early years back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and so forth. So what are you teaching them to be differently and we'll jump into the emotional trauma part again in a little bit, but I really want to understand, how does your program focus with these young people and with the information of today, and how do they work that into their lives so they can have an understanding of what it means to crawl and then to soar?
Excellent. You're right. Our young people today do have access to a lot of information. And so it's sitting down and exposing them to positive resources, because they're going to connect to Facebook, they're going to connect to TikTok, but it's also letting them know that as a result of taking in that information, begin to let them see what impact it's having. So having them to sit back and think about it, and it's hard to get them to really unplug. But I would refer them to like King Nah, for instance. He is a young teen motivational speaker. This young man has been speaking since he was like 8 or 9 years old. So his messaging, programs like also motivating the team spirit, where they can create a safe space. I think that's the other part of it too, is creating the spaces where young people can come together and share. First of all, when you give them a platform, create that safe space for them to come in and share their heart and let them know that they are loved and cared for, and that this is really a safe space, that they're not going to be bullied because of their opinion, that their opinion matters. I think that begins to open them up to additional dialogue. It begins to open them up to think a little bit differently, helping them to see, and walking them through a process. It's like, okay, you're watching all that information. Can you tell me what you're learning? What are you learning, and how is it helping you be successful? So if your goal is to be a graphic designer, okay, fine. So what are you watching on a daily basis that's helping you reach your goal? What are you doing on a daily basis when you want to unplug from your phone? Do you have your notepad close to you so that you're drawing? What types of things inspire you? What colors inspire you? It really begins to get them to thinking about, who am I? And what do I really want? What is it that I really want? And part of that process for me is helping them to unplug through meditation. Through meditation and visualization, and walking them through the process of really seeing what they want.
Right.
Teaching them that, that thoughts become things. Understanding, helping them to see that everything in our world, if you really think about it, I want you to sit back, think about, just look around your bedroom. Everything in your bedroom at some point was a thought. That with consistency, conversations that you had, taking action toward it, it became a physical thing.
Right. So it's having that visualization.
Those is actually having that visualization. So if you're online all day, I need you to think about what you're taking in. And then if I ask you a question, okay, what do you want to do for fun? And you can't answer me, then I want to know. I want to be able to walk you through the process of, you can't give me something that you don't have. So if you want to be online, let's find some resources that may bring some fun into your life, that may expose you to some different ways to have fun that are not harmful to you. Okay. So then when I ask you when you're offline, what do you want to do for fun? And you can say, okay, I saw this project, on TikTok, and I would like to try it. Okay. Let's see what we could do to make that happen. Right. As long as it's not harming anyone, and really get them to step back and engage those other senses in the creative process. That's what I love about the Creative Transformation Academy is infusing art, different forms of art, different forms of music, dance, and could be design, to really help our young people stop and think and express themselves in a more creative way, because we all know the arts. And also teaching them, Kimberly, to listen to nature.
Right.
Which is not something that we grew up learning.
Right.
We were always outside playing.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, what I was thinking, go ahead. Go ahead and finish your thought.
What were you thinking, Kimberly? Go for it.
No, what I was thinking,
just really...
in the back of my mind, and I'm listening to your conversation, and I'm thinking about the fact that, being in the inner city, there's so many other influences around them. So, and then to sit here and when you just start getting ready to talk about the topic of just listening to nature, when you're in the environment that some of these young people are in, nature is far from their mind. So how do you bring that focus into them? But at the same time, like I said, the influences that they have their dreams. Everybody has a dream. Everybody wants to do something differently. And a lot of times when we lose the process of our dreams and wanting our desires to be met, it's because of what we're influenced by. A lot of times it's that excuse of, well, I can't do this because this is what my life is about. This is what people, this is what I see every day. So if a young person is seeing somebody, getting killed every day, they're seeing all this negativity in their community, it's the influence that they have. So your program,
it is the influence.
all right. So your program is creating transformation, but that transformation is a mindset. So what you're talking about is teaching them how to change the mindset, learning how to use the resources that they have in front of them in ways to where it's more beneficial, not so much on the negativity, because the negativity is where all the emotional traumas come from. And then that's when they can't let it go. But I always believe that people in general, young, old, indifferent, whatever the case may be, is that we all have something that we desire and we want to do. But it's literally, how do you move forward from those desires? We all have gone through traumas in our life, and the decision, that one decision that you make is what's going to make the difference for you. So, you're dealing with children who are either on the cusp of making that decision right or wrong. And your program, that sounds like it's very creative, because you're teaching them things that they wouldn't normally think about. And even if you're not coming from the inner city, I believe that there are many kids out here, they spend so much time on their phones, doing their TikTok thing, nothing wrong with being an influencer, nothing wrong with doing your thing. But the thing is, what are you getting out of it as you continue to grow and to maneuver in your life so that you can soar in a way that you are living those possibilities that you've explored? So in your program, what else? Just give me another small tidbit about what else it is that you believe is important to have for young people to understand, especially for our young children, so that they can change that mindset in being in the environment that they're in every day. How do you keep them from going from point A back to point B, and just tipping on that curve that they just can't decide which way, the direction they really want to go because of the influences around them?
Right. We'll go back, Kimberly, first of all, to the environment. We do know that the environment in which any seed is planted is going to make the difference between whether or not that seed can grow or and be nourished or not. And so for young people, again, we know that a lot of our young adults, our teens, and our young people are experiencing some very real challenges within their environment. But there's always hope. There's always that, like Tupac said, there's always that weed or something that's pushing through the concrete. Mm-hmm. And being able to help them realize that, if nothing else, I want you to just sit back and take a moment and think about how you're breathing. How does that breath come into your body on a daily basis? How does the sun rise? How does the moon set? It's still being able to go outside and appreciate. And if nothing else, just take a deep breath, breathe in some fresh air, and release tension. Right. Breathe in possibility, and release anger. Pick up a pad and pencil and just write. Whatever comes out, it doesn't matter. It's just between you and the pen, and let the garbage can, be your best friend if necessary.
Right.
Think about what you do want instead of focusing on what you don't.
Exactly.
And when you begin to create that different energy, no matter what the surroundings may seem like, you begin to water your own spirit. You begin to water your own soul. And even though you may still be in the dirt, in a sense, there's still progress within the seed. Keep watering. Keep seeking out those opportunities to just take a moment and just say, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I made it to school today safely.
Right. Exactly. I'm
grateful that.
The thing that I love that you're talking about is simplicities is what I'm hearing. The simple things, the gratitude, the things that we deal with in our everyday lives. You're allowing these young people to open up their minds and open up their eyes in a way that they wouldn't think about doing if they're, stuck in a situation of just trauma all the time. So you're asking them to take that moment and look at the simple things in life that we do take for granted. And when you can see those simple things in those in your life, you can really truly find the beauty of it. And I think that in my mind, when I'm hearing you talk about your program and things that you discuss with your young people, you're absolutely giving them an opportunity to flutter. You're absolutely giving them the opportunity to come out of the cocoon so that they can become that beautiful butterfly that they didn't think existed. And so,
right.
It's a beautiful program. And then, of course, the name is perfect. And then, your name all fits into everything that you do. It's just, I love it. It's perfect.
Well, to try to give everybody a visual, if you write out the word butterfly, and then you write the word flutter under it,
mm-hmm.
In the center of both those words, you'll find UTTER, which is utter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I want to help young people do. Just find their voice. Because we all know that sometimes situations of pain is just so deep and it hurts so much that you can't express it with words,
mm-hmm.
but even just to utter a sound, just to utter help.
Absolutely.
The universe will respond.
Absolutely.
Just to utter the word peace. Just to utter the word thank you. Just to take a moment to breathe. And when you don't feel loved, just take that moment. Close your eyes and just say, I love myself.
All right. Well, you definitely.
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enough.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It hits my pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
It hits, everything. Again, understanding I'm beyond a he, she, her, they, them. Not
right.
that, just for me.
Mm-hmm.
I am love. I am joy. I am happiness. I am peace.
Right.
I am the change that I want to see in the world. So fully embracing that and to helping young people really fully embrace and know that I'm okay
mm-hmm.
exactly as I am. Because that's not what the world tells me.
Right. And that's in any environment, no matter where you come from, we know that the world
mm-hmm.
is not kind. And then the one thing that stands out the most for me was you're talking about this too, is that we know that young people can be very unkind to each other. So, you do have to get to a point in your life where you have to know who you are. You have to understand that you are enough, because what we carry on as young people, we do carry that into us as adults. And so, there are many adults who are constantly struggling to know who they are, who the I am is. And, and they're constantly carrying that trauma and the emotional stress that they have had from the time that they could remember. So, what you teach is profound, and it's definitely something that's necessary in all communities, but it definitely is necessary with our young people. So, Butterfly, we are definitely coming to the end of the show. But before we end our show this evening, I always ask my guests, what advice would you give when it comes to having a business? What would you tell somebody who says, hey, I want to start a business today? How would you help them?
Excellent question. Tap into local resources first. If you are looking to start a business and don't know where to start, looking for information, most colleges and universities are associated, or a small business development center is normally associated in your community with a college or university. So that may be a great place to start. Small business development centers, they offer free resources, free trainings, free support. You can also work one-on-one with a mentor or a coach within that environment. And a lot of their programs are no cost or very low cost. So that would be a great way to start. And knowing too that, and what I'm going through, Kimberly, is knowing that everything that I have a very successful professional career. And everything that I have been given to my employers and to my servant, to the organizations that I've been serving, now I'm giving those things to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using my own gifts, talents, and abilities. Those same gifts, talents, and abilities that I use to flourish. You know, I inherited a failing home economics program at Tempe High School. I built my own culinary lab within 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I built the curriculum so that the students could take my class all 4 years. My students were doing some phenomenal work. And even within that classroom, we transformed so many ingredients into just delicious food. And so knowing and owning your own greatness,
mm-hmm.
you know, and you can't give up. This is not an easy process to go through. You know, you have to grind and continually be willing to be coachable and be willing to learn, and knowing that, you know, if you fall, that you got to get up. You're going to experience some challenges. Those challenges are there to help you grow and learn. That's what I'm learning, you know, but never give up and surround yourself. Find those networks. Again, energy grows where energy goes. So when you begin to seek out, you know, different conversations, different peoples, you know, get together with the chambers of commerce, find organizations made locally, you know, where their core values align with who you are and what you want to do, and give, you know, get involved in the community. See how you can be a part of a school board or a commission, any leadership programs that a particular city may offer. Figure out a way just to continue to get access to people and resources.
All right.
And also write your vision, you know, write your vision and make it plain.
Exactly. And you may have to rewrite your vision over and over until you get it right.
All the time.
So, yep.
That's a workable, it's like a resume. It's a workable document.
Exactly. Well, that was great advice.
And gratitude.
And yes, do it with gratitude. Absolutely.
Practice gratitude. I mean, you know, that's something that, I mean, again, give and it shall be given. You know, so the more that you tell the universe that you're grateful for, those are the things that are going to be returning unto you.
All right. Well,
that's what you want to attract.
Yeah, that absolutely. I couldn't have said that better myself. And before we go, please tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you. So please share your social media links.
On IG, I am a butterfly at Butterfly Love Hugz. On Instagram, on Facebook is still my birth name, which is Lorna Barker. And those are my two platforms right now. So in the process of making it cohesive. But they can follow me. I like IG a little bit better. I don't post a lot, I'm telling you now, but it's getting out there a lot more.
All right. Hey, well, that's all it takes is, you know, like you said, you got to keep working at what you're doing. Just keep building your brand and everything is going to work out just fine. And again, a butterfly. It has been a pleasure having you on my show this evening. I just love saying your name, Butterfly Love Hugz.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. I am so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure. And for everybody else, before we close tonight's show, it was a joy chatting with a true butterfly, you know, and her sharing her wisdom with everyone and working with their community is, you know, it's profound. It's something that's absolutely important and is definitely needed in all communities. And I continue and pray that you, and hope that you continue to grow in the way that you deserve to and should. And for everybody else, it always leads me to the question of, what do you wish exists for you? How are you making your dreams come true and turning those dreams into true goals? If you would like to talk to me more about how I can help you get your dreams and turn them into goals, please reach out to me at Kimberly at WSBILLC@gmail.com, and let's sit down and have a chat. If you want more of your resource for success, donate to support the podcast. We have a Cash App available. All information will be provided in the information below. And as well, you can go to www.WSBILLC.com, which is the website. And again, we would like to thank you all for listening to us tonight. We'll be back next week with more amazing guests. Be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio, download our mobile app on Google Play or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.WSBILLC.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.